What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another week of the Sports Degenerates podcast. If this is your first time listening to us, make sure to also listen to us on Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or Spreaker. And we're also on Twitter at The Sports Degens and Instagram at The Sports Degenerates Podcast. And finally, you can also watch us now on YouTube. So make sure if you're listening to us or watching us on any of these platforms to follow us and also like this episode. And as always, we are just a couple of college students that love talking about sports, watching sports, and listening to sports. So here we are. I'm Tyler DeRosa, joined alongside by my good buddy, Matt Holderman. Matt, how you doing today?
Not too bad, man. It's been a wild week, but I'm doing all right. Yourself?
Not too bad. It's been I couldn't agree more. It's been a wild week, especially in sports right now.
Oh yeah.
I have a lot to talk about the Celtics specifically. Let's just get right into it. Screw it. I mean, Celtics game last night was the first game with Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Kemba Walker all in the starting lineup, all available to play. I was so excited for it, and they let the Spurs go on a 21-6 run or something like that in the second quarter, and at one point, and I think like a 11-0 run in the fourth quarter, and they went on their own run in the third quarter to like bring it back, but that was just pathetic, especially the end of the second quarter when they let up 4 points in just under 3 seconds because
hmm
they gave up, and absolutely unacceptable seeing them give up like that. I hated it because that 4 points is the difference. What happened was that they let up a basket, and then everybody gave up on the inbounds throw. Everybody had their back turned pretty much, and the inbounds pass just got picked off, and the Spurs got another easy 2 points. Oh, it made me so mad, so angry.
Yeah, this was kind of like the diet version of the debut of Kyrie, KD, and Harden all together. And they lost to the Cavs. Now this year, finally, we get all the Celtics big three together, and a loss. It's so underwhelming. All these like big threes coming together for their first games of the year, and it doesn't make a difference. It seems like it's
No,
at least not after this night, but there's plenty of nights left. Maybe they'll get in more of a rhythm. But that was definitely disappointing last night. A game of runs. We were talking about it yesterday evening as it was going on. Just Celtics ended on a low note, and that's what did it.
yeah, they did. I was watching the whole second quarter. I watched the whole game, and the entire second quarter was just infuriating. I don't know what was going on there. They couldn't hit a shot to save their lives. They wouldn't play any defense. They started out the first quarter of that game was probably one of their best defensive efforts all season. They were playing great defense, and one of the main problems with this team is they struggle to play defense sometimes. And the first quarter looked great. They were pressuring the Spurs. They forced 5 turnovers in the first quarter. Mind you, the Spurs lead the league with I think like only 5 or 10 turnovers per game, and they got 5 turnovers in the first quarter. And then all of a sudden, to see what they did in the second quarter, not doing anything, I don't know what fully attributed it to it. Whether it was Brad Stevens, he played almost every bench player, which I don't fully agree with. I mean, Brad Stevens likes to utilize his entire roster, which you can't blame him for. I think that's good. You need to get these players minutes and
hmm
limit and make sure your stars don't get too tired. But
Certainly.
that being said, you got to see if your team's not performing well, like what has to happen for to get a shot in the arm. And they weren't doing that. And the thing that worried me is we talked about in the playoffs that a lot of the times they lost was because they relied too heavily on the three or something like that. In this game, in that second quarter, they were shooting from all around the court. They were shooting a little bit from the three, a little bit, little mid-range shots, and driving to the basket a little. But nothing was going down for them. They couldn't buy a shot to save their lives. And then, like I said, everything was falling for the Spurs, which was
hmm
a huge problem there. And yeah, I didn't like that game. I mean, I'm sure they're gonna get back to it. But if this team continues the way that they're doing, I don't know. I think they need to make a trade or something. I'm still a little more high on the Celtics now than I was at the beginning of the season. If you remember me saying I was very worried about them, but I think they've been playing a lot better recently, which I really like to see.
Hmm.
Um, but like I said, that being said, I think seeing this loss to the Spurs was unacceptable.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have let them go on a run that big in the second quarter, and in the fourth quarter, and when you came back in the third quarter, you gotta translate that into the fourth quarter, and they didn't. They let the Spurs get back into it just like that, and like I said, I think it was just unacceptable.
Yeah, definitely I agree. I think they're an improved team from the start of the year. We shouldn't really be worried about them after just one kind of bad showing. Everyone has a bad day here and there.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, it definitely feels like that game last night could have and should have been a lot better. Like we said, with all the star power back. Yeah, that second quarter, they were outscored by 19 points. It was a Spurs 36, Celtics 17. After Celtics went into the second quarter with the lead, they just completely blew it. Great bounce back in the third, outscored the Spurs by 16, so pretty much just
yeah,
flip flopped it on them. But and another flip in the fourth. Just really weird game. One of those games where every the start of every quarter it's a different game.
yep. Like I said, the big one for me was the end of the first half when they let up 4 points in I think it was like 2.8 seconds to be exact. And that's the difference of the game right there. If you inbound
Hmm.
that ball correctly and you don't let them do that, then you have a better chance at the end of the game. And if you played better defense at the end there, didn't give up and just in general didn't give up the 4 points in total, you have a better chance of winning this game down the stretch. Obviously, you can't look back and say what they could have done. Like you can look at every moment in the game, like, oh, they could have made this shot and that would happen. But that's the most glaring one, that if they actually stepped up and paid attention in that in at the end of the second quarter there, then they could have won this game. And it's just very annoying to me. I will say Marcus Smart is starting to grow on me a little bit again, because he's hitting shots. It's more of, I'm telling you, he's only really hitting those shots when he's catch and shoot,
Hmm.
where he tries to be an ISO play a little too much and be like a ball dominant point guard dribbling around the court and trying to find an open look. I think that's stupid. Just get him open, pass the ball to him, take a shot. That's what I love to see Marcus Smart do it, and also playing defense. But yeah, I'm just a little worried about that loss last night. I'm not gonna get too worried about it because there's plenty of time. It's still early in the season. Um, Tatum, Brown, and Walker all had good games. Smart had a good game as well. It's just they couldn't really find the defense, and I'm
Hmm.
sure Stevens is gonna hammer that home with them. And the bench scoring wasn't fully there as much as you would like it to be. So I'm not too worried about that. With Peyton Pritchard coming back in probably about a week or so, maybe a week or two,
Right,
um,
he's a huge
he
asset.
he'll be a huge boost. That'll
Hmm.
keep everybody healthy. That'll be great. But I will say, speaking of trades, LaMarcus Aldridge is a player that, I'd absolutely love to see on the Celtics
Mm,
team. He's just exactly what they need. He can hit a
true.
three. He can hit a three every once in a while. Absolute monster in the paint. Love to see it.
Yeah, he's been having one of his slower years stats wise, but he's still Aldridge. He's been on
Yeah.
the Spurs forever at this point, and
Yeah, he got traded to the Spurs something like maybe like 5 or 6 years ago, maybe a little longer than that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I think he definitely could still be not quite, a star like Tatum or Brown, but he could be a starting player that you rely on,
Yeah.
almost like a Marcus Smart. Like, I could see him fitting into the Celtics roster in that same kind of way.
Yeah,
That'd be awesome.
I'd absolutely love him on the Celtics roster. I would pay to see him on the Celtics roster. And actually, speaking of paying for things, let's get into our bet segments.
Yeah,
Bets.
let's do it.
We're gonna so since there's no football games this week, we're gonna do our bet of the week. This week is gonna be who is gonna have the best week, NBA wise. Which player is gonna have the best week? And I want to hear who you're riding with here, Matt.
Yeah, I wish I could say,
I have a feeling I know who you're gonna go with.
yeah. Now I wish I could say, it was one of the Celtics that we were just talking about, but they're facing the Lakers on Saturday, then the Warriors on Tuesday.
Yep.
So I don't know. I'd love to pick one of them, like Jalen Brown, but I just couldn't do it. The guy I'm going with is the guy who's been on fire lately but can't win a single game.
I knew it.
Bradley Beal.
I knew this is who you're gonna choose.
Yeah, I mean,
Who
I
is it?
just got to pull up the stats. Bradley Beal.
Bradley Beal.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah, dude. He's
Mhm.
averaging the most points per game in the league
Yeah.
by far, because he is the Wizards' entire offense. Their
Yeah.
entire offense. He's got games coming up against Atlanta, Brooklyn, and we know Brooklyn's defense is not that good.
Mm-hmm.
Portland and Miami over the course of the next 7 days. I think he could just continue to light it up, but will any of those result in dubs? Probably not.
Yeah.
So take it how you will that I think he's going to be the player week.
Here's the thing, though. It doesn't matter if they win or not. We're just talking about who has the best performance all week, and
Yeah, I mean it's
that's all that
got to be
matters.
him.
He could
I
lose. He
mean,
could lose every game.
I don't see that offense changing where they're
No.
going to like rely on someone else. No, they're just going to feed it to him. He'll take 40 to 50 shots every game
Yep.
and land close to half of them. I
Yeah.
mean, that's just how it's going to be. I could see him dropping 50 at least once one of these next 4 games.
We'll see.
So.
And I'm actually going to go with one of those Celtics players, not just because I'm a homer and stuff like
Okay.
that, just because I've been seeing him play really well. Been looking at a bunch of different players who I could go with, and I was like, you know what? He's been so hot recently. I'm going to go Jalen Brown.
Yeah,
I
I
think
wanted to so bad.
I think
But
Jalen Brown. It's a risk. I'm taking a gamble because now with Jason Tatum back, he's not going to have as many looks. He's not going to be dropping 30, 40 points as easy as he was before. But I have to go with Jalen Brown. I think he can do it because he can also get those other stats as well. Whereas it seems like Bradley Beal is mostly just scoring. I don't know how many assists he's getting in this year or anything like that. But Jalen Brown's
yeah,
also able to get some rebounds, distribute the ball a little bit. So I have to go with Jalen Brown. And I have to go for my third week in a row for the win. You're wearing
yeah,
the Patriots jersey again, Matt.
yeah, I am. If the gosh, come on, pull through for me, Bradley. Come on, man,
Yeah.
because I voted against the Buccaneers and Tom Brady
Yes,
2 weeks in a
did.
row, and
Don't
I
bet
mean,
against Tom Brady.
don't bet against him in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Certainly, I don't know, man. You just kind of think surely he can't carry a 5 seed team all the way to the Super Bowl, but he did, and
Yes, he did.
I I wasn't super surprised he did. Like, it wasn't the biggest surprise, like, if the
Of course.
Washington football team made it all the way
Yeah.
here. But, I will say now, I will not be surprised if, Brady and the Bucks win the Super Bowl, even as the Chiefs fan. We got a lot to talk about next week,
Yes, we
and
do. We're really going to
I
break
think
down the
next
Super
week.
Bowl matchup next week. But I want to talk a little bit about these matchups from the past week here. I mean, let's start with Chiefs Bills. You must have been really happy with that result and how the
Yeah.
Chiefs played.
Yeah, super solid game. I mean, the start, was a little bit rough. I had a couple of our guys texting the chat saying, Holderman is crying in the club right now. Like,
Yeah.
you okay
Yeah.
there, man? When it was
Yeah.
9-0. Then all of a sudden, boom, Chiefs score 3 touchdowns and never look back. It was great to see McCole Hardman have a awesome performance at the end of the first half after he dropped the kick reception. What the hell is that called? The return?
The kickoff.
Yeah, the kickoff.
The
He
kickoff
completely
return. He
dropped
dropped that.
it.
Yep.
Uh-huh. Yeah, he was very down on himself. They showed that later, footage on the sidelines of Mahomes and Kelsey talking to him, trying to hype him back up, and it worked. He got a big touchdown. It was awesome to see. And I mean, the Chiefs just did their thing from there on out. Really, they put up 30 plus like we're used to them seeing, and I'm excited for the Super Bowl, man.
Yep.
I just
Yeah,
yeah,
that's the big thing with the Chiefs. They're dangerous. You never know when, but they can score 3 touchdowns in a row at any point against whoever you put them against. And I also blame it a lot on the Bills as well. I mean, they got off to a 9-point lead. They should have capitalized on it. But Josh Allen, I think all game, this is the big thing that that I pointed out. I think Josh Allen looked rattled all game. He
He did.
it looked like he was sailing balls over his receivers' heads. Where the past 2 weeks he was dotting his receivers on the sideline, getting them like perfect placement and everything. But this week it just seemed like a lot of his throws were a little too high,
Hmm.
kind of out of reach, anything like that. And surprisingly, the Chiefs defense were getting to him. They were putting pressure on him, and they were making him uncomfortable in the pocket, which is what you got to do with a young quarterback, especially. I mean, yeah, Josh Allen can move around and escape the pocket if he needs to, but they did a good job limiting him. I don't know exactly what they did on defense, but they may have had a spy on him to make sure if he did run, then they would get to him. But
Hmm.
they did a great job limiting him and keeping him rattled. And like I said, sailing balls left and right. It looked like to me,
Yeah.
and it you kept him on his toes, and that's exactly what the Chiefs needed to do. The Chiefs defense stepped up big time because the Bills had a. I think the Bills could have had a good chance of beating them, and in my opinion, the only way that leading into the week, the only way that the Chiefs were gonna win was if their defense stepped up as well as their offense, and their defense did just that. So we got to. It's gonna be interesting to see if they can do it against the Bucks, because as we know,
Yeah.
last time the Bucks and Chiefs faced off, Tyreek Hill went for 200 yards in the first quarter and like
Hmm.
260 something in total.
That was
So
wild. Yeah.
um, and that's going to be a big thing with the Bucks defense to see if they can step up. But we're going to talk
Yeah.
about that
It
more
won't
next week.
happen twice.
No,
Yeah, yeah.
um,
Certainly not 200 yards in a quarter twice.
yeah,
I'd love to see it,
hmm
obviously, but not gonna happen twice.
yeah.
So
And the other game, the Brady Rogers game, the big one, that was a
mhm.
fun game to watch. That was a
Super
close
fun.
game for the most part. I mean, there was one point where I think, yeah, I can't remember if Green Bay was no uh the Bucks were up almost the whole game, but yeah,
Hmm.
there was one point that it looked like the Bucks were going to start running away with it, and then Green Bay made it close, and then at the end there, both quarterbacks, like in the stretch of like the last quarter, threw like 5 interceptions in total or something like that, 5 or 6 interceptions in total,
Yeah,
and
it's
it
a
was
lot.
interesting. Brady just ended up being the one that made the more the better throws, the more important throws when it counted, and I think a huge reason why the Bucks won that game was the idiotic defensive call by Green Bay at the end of
Hmm.
the half. Sorry, at the end of the
Hmm.
first half. Like, what are you
Yes,
doing? What are you doing playing man to man on the last play? Like, and
instead
obviously
of
Tom Brady's
zone.
looking like he's going to throw it. You have to play zone. You have to play deep zone. Make sure that they don't get a first down or get any chance to get a field goal. And you play man to man. That's that was stupid. That was just stupid.
I might get hate for this or whatever, but I think like I'm one of those people that thinks Matt LaFleur, Packers coach, just kind of choked that game on a lot of the calls,
Yeah,
especially at the end. I mean, I understand the call going for the field goal with about 2 minutes left and just hoping you get the ball back. But what if? What if they just went for it? It's the NFC Championship, man.
yep,
They
yeah,
could have.
and
You got Aaron Rodgers as the quarterback. Like he's been questioned on it a bunch already. You know, days before we've made this episode, he's answered all those questions already. But I think the people asking them still have a good point. Like, why
I
did you do that?
agree. You should know especially as a younger coach, that when you're going against Tom Brady, you try to get all the points that you can, especially with
Mhm.
the best offense in the league. You go for that.
You do,
And I
yeah,
mean, I'm
all
gonna
the
say I
time.
blame it a little bit on Rodgers as well, because Rodgers could have. What happened was Rodgers kind of took off out of the pocket and threw it kind of, I think, kind of a little bit, kind of across his body towards the center of the field towards Devontae Adams, who was very obviously covered. But if he
Hmm.
decided to keep running, he either could have got a touchdown, or at least
I
had
know, I
fourth
know.
and one, 4th and 2, made it a lot more manageable.
I
So
was
I
looking
blame
at
that as
that too.
I blame that on Rodgers as well. I
Was
think
watching
that's
it,
also
yeah.
Rodgers' call.
Was watching it with family, and I mean, it's different when we're watching on the TV and you're actually on the field. But God, even we on the TV, my family and I were screaming at him like, "You could have just ran." It was
Yeah.
like 2 or 3 yards for the first down, and he
Yep.
got all right up to the line of scrimmage. No defenders within a couple of yards of him. He could
Yep.
have gotten at least a yard or two out of that, and instead, just threw an incompletion. I agree. That is on him.
Yeah, it was something like they had like 4th and goal or 5th and goal or something like that. And if he ran, he would have, even if he didn't get the touchdown, he would have gotten, like you said, probably like 2 or 3 yards. It made it a lot easier for them to possibly convert on 4th down. It would have been a completely different game if one, Rodgers did that, and two, LaFleur decided to go for it on 4th. Because
They
I
completely
understand
choked. Yeah.
you want to just get points. You don't want to take the chance of not getting any points because at that point you'd be screwed. But you have to take that chance sometimes. You have to know who's on the other sideline. The best playoff quarterback in the history of the NFL, the best quarterback in the history of the NFL, and arguably the most clutch quarterback in the history of the NFL on the other side of that field
Yeah.
can pick you apart if you don't make the ballsy move and go for it on 4th, and
Right.
hopefully get it. But
They had to do it.
hey,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna fully argue with it. I love Brady. I picked Brady, and you're wearing
hmm
the shirt because of it.
That's true. That's true. Take the wins, I guess,
Yep,
as they come. It was a fun game.
it
Uh,
was.
it's been. It feels like it's been a while since I've seen one of those playoff or NFC championship matchups, or just a good playoff game that has me on the edge of my seat the whole time. Like
Yep.
I'll compare it to Packers versus Cardinals a couple years ago, that game that went into overtime. Packers Seahawks, where the Seahawks came from down a little bit and beat the Packers. Notice the trend is that the Packers lose all these
Always the
games I'm
Packers. Yep.
bringing up, but all these games uh, have had me on the edge of my seat. That game was the same. I was sweating, even though I wasn't rooting for either team. It was fun to watch, but the result never changes. Packers always lose.
Packers always lose, and Brady's going to with his 10th Super Bowl, which is just absolutely incredible.
hmm
Um,
That
and
result never changes either. Every
exactly,
other year,
exactly,
it's
it
Brady.
really, it really is. It is absolutely crazy. 20-year career. Doesn't matter. Apparently, you see, it doesn't matter who he's with. He always goes to the Super Bowl. But
All the time.
anyway, let's move on here. We're gonna touch on the NHL again. We're gonna touch on the Bruins. Obviously, we talked about the Bruins a little bit last week, and since we talked about the Bruins,
They've
they've
gotten
kind of stepped up.
better.
Um,
Yep.
when we were talking about them last week, they were the only team in the league to not score, who hadn't scored a even strength goal. And then that night, literally that night, they beat the Flyers, I believe it was. I think 5-1 or 6-1 or something like that. They absolutely
Yeah.
went
6-1.
off. And I'm super happy about that, obviously. And they've been playing really well. The funny thing is, actually, about the Bruins this year, the past few years, the Bruins have had problems on defense. And all of a sudden this year, that's not a problem. They've been playing pretty well in defense, actually. And that's great to see. They've just been lacking the scoring. Yeah, they've been winning, but they've been lacking the scoring. But the defense hasn't been bad, which is great to see. And I think again they're gonna get some scoring help once David Pastrnak comes back. But at the
hmm
moment right now, goal scorers: Brad Marchand has 4, Patrice Bergeron has 3, Nick Ritchie has 3, Craig Smith has 2, which I'm liking Craig Smith. He's playing pretty well. I like seeing what he's doing. Charlie Coyle has 2. Brandon Carlo has 1. Stanika has 1, and that's it. I mean, I want to see a few more players get on the board. I want to see like a Jake DeBrusk score maybe, um, stuff like that. But they're gonna have reinforcements coming soon, hopefully. And I think Anders Bjork, I think, is gonna be coming back. I think he's injured. I can't remember off the top of my head.
hmm
But it's good to see what they're doing. I think right at the moment they're 5-1-1 or something like that. 4-1-1
Yeah.
maybe.
4-1-1.
Yeah,
Yeah.
4-1-1. They play again. They play again. I think tonight, if I'm not
2 hours
mistaken.
from now. I
Yeah,
was
two
just
hours from
looking at
now
their
again.
schedule.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, they're
and
on a heck of a streak right now, really.
yeah,
Yeah, 3 wins in a row, and they've been against Philly and Pittsburgh. I think those are two other good teams.
yep, yeah, and they're facing Pittsburgh again tonight. Well, Pittsburgh is, from what I remember, Pittsburgh isn't that great.
They've
No,
had a
I
good
mean,
start to the year. That's what it
yeah,
is.
they had a good
But
start to the year, but
yeah,
Pittsburgh hasn't been Pittsburgh in a while now. They're not the
that's
same
true.
team that they used to be. But like I said, I'm taking these wins anywhere I can get them. It's a tough division, and they got to get points to be a higher playoff seed. And like I said,
hmm
I want to see more of these players scoring. I want to see the second and third line get some goals on the board as well. Obviously, the two leaders are Brad Marchand and Patrice Bergeron, the two top line players. So you expect them to score, but again, I want to see players like Craig Smith. I want to see Craig Smith get another goal here. He only has 2. I want to see Charlie Coyle with a couple of goals. I want to see these other players who are lower down on the depth chart in the second and third line and whatnot. I want to see them score as well. I want to see, um, they need to start scoring a little more. Obviously, they've been playing great. I'm just kind of nitpicking right now, but I want to see them, the defense continue what they're doing, and the offense kind of get some more goals on the board.
Yeah, and they've got good tests coming up. I can't wait to see obviously tonight's game, and
Yeah,
then even furthermore, looking to Saturday, they play the Capitals, the only team in the East with a better record than them. Capitals haven't lost a game in regulation this
yeah.
season, so like that'll be a great matchup.
And
And
the
if the
Bruins
Bruins
have all,
can
and the
keep a win
Bruins have
streak
always,
going,
yeah, and the
mm,
Bruins have always sucked against the Capitals. A lot
mm,
of times they could not buy a win against the Capitals. So yeah, that'll be very exciting.
very. And
And
I know, yeah, you've talked about you've liked the Bruins a lot the past week.
yeah, like I said, I was down on them last week. I was crapping on them all last week, but they're looking
Mhm.
good. They're looking up. They need, like I said, they need to get as many points as they can get, winning these games, and hopefully winning them in regulation, you get more points, obviously. So it's important. We'll see. But speaking of teams that I'm not excited about, is the Red Sox. I
Yeah,
am
yeah, the
declaring right now.
Bruins, yeah.
I tweeted this. That I've officially signed the waiver, signed the documents that the Red Sox have now moved down on my favorite teams list.
I
I'll
was just
say,
gonna say that. That was gonna be
I'll,
my transition.
yeah,
Oh yeah, the
I'll put this out there
Bruins
right now. I'll put
are
this out
up
there right
on the
now.
list.
Um, Patriots are my favorite team.
Yeah.
Love watching Patriots. Love talking about the Patriots. Then it goes Celtics, and before it was Red Sox and then Bruins, because
Mhm.
I enjoy hockey. I enjoy Red Sox. I enjoy baseball, but they're just not the ones that I follow as much. I still follow them, but as of now, the Red Sox are now moving down until further notice, until they actually decide to start trying again.
Mhm.
I've just been sick of. I mean, they've been known on Twitter as the rumor kings, because you're hearing all these free agents that the Red Sox are rumored to be in pursuit of this guy, and they never sign them. They're the
Never
interest
happened.
kings. You're hearing that
Mhm.
they're interested in all these players but aren't doing anything, and
Yeah.
it's really annoying. And the free agent slash pitchers that the free agent slash trades that they've made haven't been anything special. Um, Hunter Renfro, they signed. I believe he's the one. He's the super utility man, if I'm not mistaken, that they signed. I could have looked this up wrong, but Hunter Renfro, he's a 228 career batting average player with 156 last year. If he's the player that I'm thinking of, I took a look, but he's the player. I believe he was on the Dodgers last year. Um, and super utility man. He's filling kind of the Brock Holt role in a way that they lost, which I like that personally. I like having a player like that. Um, Sorry. Yeah, I like having a player like that, like Brock Holt, because you lost Brock Holt. I think they were kind of overpaying for him.
Mhm.
But I'm not a huge fan of that signing personally, because he doesn't really do anything. It's looking like he might play second base, but we'll see. And then the other player that they recently just traded with the Yankees for, first trade in I think 6 years with the Yankees, and
I was gonna say.
second trade with the Yankees in uh 20 something years, I believe,
Yeah, that doesn't
is
happen a lot.
no, it doesn't. Adam Ottavado,
Mhm.
who is he's a relief pitcher, career 353, not bad, and 2020 589, which is not very good as a relief pitcher. But that one, I also don't like that, because they're not making any sort of splashes with that. Like, he's not that good. Um, and he's not that good. I believe they're only sending New York cash slash or a player to be named later.
Mhm.
So at the end of the day, if he doesn't pan out, what they could always do is trade him during the deadline. If they're out of contention, just trade him during the deadline and get that money back, or get a player, and you just don't have to worry about it. It's like nothing happened.
Right.
And I can guarantee you, the only reason why the Yankees traded him to the Red Sox was because they were like, yeah, the Red Sox are no threat to us. He's not very good. Here, have him. Pretty much. That's essentially what happened.
Probably. Yeah.
Like thanks for the $800,000. We'll use that for someone else, and that's about it.
Mhm.
But the big one that really made me mad, the big signing that really made me mad was Matt Andrizzi, I believe his name is. They signed him for 1 year, $10 million, which is $1 million less than Corey Kluber, which I still wish that they signed Corey Kluber. And this man hasn't really pitched since roughly 2015.
Mhm.
He is a walking injury. He blew out his knee at Fenway in 2014, I believe it was. He's had Tommy John surgery. When he's healthy, he's not a bad pitcher. He really isn't. If he can stay healthy this year, great. We'll see what he can do. But that's the thing that really made me mad. You just signed a pitcher that has had Tommy John, is complete damage goods for $10 million, and you could
Yeah.
have signed Corey Kluber for $1 million more. I don't get that move. That move makes me mad, and it's just something that has really pissed me off about the Red Sox. They've had so many opportunities to sign players this offseason. I know that it wasn't a great free agency class, but do something. I know Heim Bloom has said that they're building for the future and stuff like that. And you can't go mortgaging and trading everybody to get to win now. You need to look more in the future and win in a long span. But I don't see the moves that they're making right now are moves that are going to help them win in the long term. So, yeah, I'm just getting really sick of the Red Sox, and it's really making me mad. And like I said, until further notice, they are not my favorite team.
Yeah. So I'll put it simple. I don't have anything to say about the Red Sox. I'll talk
Yeah.
about them when they deserve to be talked about.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree
End of
more.
the show.
Yeah. Unless the Red Sox do something more impressive, we're not gonna be talking about them that much. If you
Mm-mm.
guys that are listening want us to talk about the Red Sox, let us know. We're more than welcome to. But other than that, we're not doing it. But that will wrap us up for today. We thank you guys so much for listening to us. Again, if you haven't already, make sure to follow us on whatever platform you're listening to, like this episode, and also, like I said, check us out on Instagram, check us out on Twitter, and follow us on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. Have a good day.